morning. I, Dr. Pethanachi Selvam, Head and Associate Professor, PG and Research Department of Mathematics. This session deals with statistics. It is one of the branch of mathematics. Here we can see the simple concepts of the introduction, what is meant by statistics, and how can we classify data, how can we analyze data. The statistics, the modern statistics father, Ronald Almer Fisher. First, let us see what is meant by statistics. Statistics is a branch of mathematics which deals with the collecting data, organizing, analyzing, interpreting, and presenting masses of numerical quantitative data. For example, in real life situation, how can we collect data? Suppose if we want to find the average of the group of people in a city. First of all, what can we see? We would collect data. That means we select a sample of people from the city and interviewing them. That is the way of collecting the income of a group of people only. Then how can we organize data? You create a table to organize those people's income as a data. And how can we analyze data? That means for a sample group of data, income of a sample group of data, we calculate the mean value of the income of the sample. Then interpret data, that means using the formula of average, find the average income of the sample data. And how can we interpret it? That means we estimate the average income of the entire city for the whole population. Then only we can visualize the data. You enter data, that is average income of a group of people in a chart or in a graph sheet, we can easily present the data. These are the way of collecting. How can we organizing, how can we analyzing, and how can we interpret and presenting data. From this presentation we can conclude the average income of the whole people in the city. From the sample data we can analyze it. In statistics, the next one is statistical methods and statistical techniques. What are the meant by statistical methods? These are very important tools to understand that data and draw meaningful conclusions for making the desired information decisions in various fields. By employing any one of the statistical techniques or methods, we can gain valuable insights from data and also make evidence-based decisions for a particular real-life problem. Here we can see what are the different types of statistical methods. We can group it in three formats. One is the descriptive statistics, and another one is the inferential statistics, and third one is an associated statistics. Descriptive means we have to summarize and describing data using statistical measures. That means using measures of central tendencies such as mean, median, mode, geometric mean and harmonic mean, and measures of dispersion like variation, standard deviation, quartiles, range, etc. And also these are all called as statistical constants. These are all under descriptive statistics. It is also one of the measure to study the data. And another method is inferential statistics. Here we can draw conclusions about a population based on sample data under hypothesis and analysis. Here we can see the t-test, f-test, chi-square test and analysis of variance. These data, that means we can find the relationship among the data. and we can draw conclusions. What can we infer from the given data using inferential statistics? It play a very important role in research area and also used in finding solution for various statistical problems, real life problems through statistics. And associated statistics, here it explore the relationship between two variables including correlation and regression analysis. Here we can describe, that is we can analyze the relation between any two variables. The variables may be deviated in the same direction or in the opposite direction. Here the chapters under that is association of attributes and interpolation and correlation and regression, these are all come under this associated, that means correlated variables. These are the three types of statistical techniques. And the next one is, here recently how many tools are available. That means to find this, apply the statistical methods using the programming languages. The first and more efficient language SPSS, that is statistical package for social sciences. That means here this is used to analyze and interference data, and many of them handled, many of the people in various fields like economics, business, that is commerce people, and otherwise all the most of the economists and business people apply this language SPSS to measure the variables or to determine the analyzing the data and getting decisions. And next one is a Microsoft Excel. It is usually well-known software used for analyzing data and also for interpretation. And next one is SQL, that is the structured query language. It's also program created and formulated for base systems to handle the structured data. And CHARS, that is a statistical analysis software developed by CHARS for the advanced analytics and multivariate evaluation. This software is very useful. And another one is the more scientific softwares, that is MATLAB and R language. These are efficiently used by all the engineering people and science people. Through this language, that is R language, is especially only very efficient language for finding or analyzing the data, for getting good interpreting the results. Next, let us see how can we classify data. What is meant by the data? Here the process of sorting out the collected the data to certain common properties. For example, you select the marks of 100 students, raw data. It's called as a raw data because which marks are given as collected and how many, here the students are given, and then what type of courses the marks are selected is not given. Simply we can take it is just marks of any 100 students, and here the marks are given 100 marks out of that is the values 50 marks. Here the values are dated, and here we can classify in 4 ways. Here the better way to express these marks in ascending and descending order of magnitude, but it is a tedious way. We can't reduce the data, bulk of data to a smallest one. It is very tedious. So we proceed to describe another method. The classification of data is very, very important. For that we form a table that gives the number of times a particular value or variable occurs in the data. That is called as a frequency of the value. That's why in any of the data, the given observations are taken as the variable x and the corresponding values are given as variable. Here in this example, marks is taken as a variable and marks taking so many values, so it is called as a frequency. And here the number of peoples 1, 2, 3, etc. That means the people who are getting the marks up to 10, that is 9 and 1, and we can split up the marks. The table giving the frequency of various values of the variables, that table is called as a frequency table. Here you can visualize, that's the easiest method. Here the left side one denote the marks, 1, 2, 3, etc. All the marks are noted, and how many of them getting the marks, that's why it is given the values. And here after 5 it is a crossed mark is given, and count the number, that will give the total number, will give the frequency. That's why the table is called as a frequency table. That is x1, x2, etc. 50 people are denoted as a variable, and f1, f2 are given as the how many of them getting 1 mark, how many of them getting 2 marks, that is given the total number, that will give the frequency. That's why the table is called as a frequency table. And also in order to condense, again we have to minimize the data. We divide the observed range variables into a suitable number of class intervals, and then we can reduce the number of observations in each class. So here the values, marks are written in the form of class intervals. That means the number of students getting marks above 0 and below 5. That's why the range of class interval 0 to 5, and that's why the number of students 3. That's why the 3 students are getting marks below 5. And next one is the number of students getting marks above 5 and below 10. That's why the interval is given as 5 to 10. And here the numbers are noted in lines, straight lines and then cross lines. The number of students 8. Therefore the right side total represent the frequency. It's also the frequency table, but here the table is minimized compared with the previous table. That's a frequency table. Here it is called as the data is classified into the class intervals, so that the data is in very condensed form. And also for the above data, we can divide the range into 10 classes. That means 0 to 5 and 45 up to 45 to 50. And another class interval that's shown in the next table. It's also another way of expressing the table. It is 0 to 9. The first one is a previous table is a continuous class interval. Here it is a discrete class interval. Here we can also reduce the bulk of data in a condensed format as class intervals. The marks are represented above 0 to up to 9. And then the next one is 10 to 19, the students getting marks, it is called as a 20, the number is counted, and here the 100 marks are total is given, that is called as a frequency class. Here also the data is changed into the class intervals with frequency. So the marks column xi is converted into the class intervals. It's also one of the frequency table. Just now we have seen the 3 classification of data into 3 types of tables as frequency table. Now let us see the number of observations, how many observations in a class. That means here we can denote it is called as it is class frequency corresponding to the class. For example, the class interval 0 to 5. How can you find? The mid value gives the xi observations, and frequency table fi. That is called as a frequency table, and fi's are the observations of each class. We are getting the number of observations. That means number of students getting the marks 0 to below 5, it named it as 4 means it is called as a frequency corresponding to that class. In the previous table we can see that here 0 to 9, suppose the student getting marks on the 8, that means it comes under the table 0 to 9. How many number of students below 0 to 9? That means 11 students. So 11 is the frequency corresponding to the class interval 0 to 9. It's a discrete class interval. These are all class frequencies. That means we have the given data, that is 100 marks of a student is classified as classified into a small group, that is called as a classified data. Here for this data we can apply the mean, median and measure the data, and we can interpret and analyze and interpret the data. Here that's why here statistics play a vital role in many fields, including weather forecasting, insurance, stock market analysis and data analysis, etc. Thank you.